I'm Misty Winkler, and this is Simply Convivial, all about doing homemaking and homeschooling and living life cheerfully and responsibly. Have you been on the hunt for the perfect homekeeping routine that will just keep the house clean, get you organized, set you up so that you can handle life well? I think that's what a lot of our Google and Pinterest searches focus on, finding that one system, checklist, or set of routines to follow that will just put everything into place for us. But it's a wild goose chase. It doesn't exist. No one else's plans or system is actually going to apply perfectly to anyone else's situation. Instead, we need to each grow in responsibility in our own homes and situations. Sorry to break it to you. Today, I have a clip from one of our weekly seminars that we do inside Simply Convivial Continuing Education, a set of resources and community and coursework for homemakers to dig in and learn the skills and practices and mindsets that they need to feel satisfied and successful in their work at home. This clip is about a small mindset shift that we need to take when we find ourselves wasting time looking on the internet for the perfect solution. Let's dig in now to this clip. So, what's the deal? What counts as a transformation 10? I'm going to drive all you rule followers crazy. I'm going to say it's whatever you need it to be. So, the parameters of a transformation 10 is that you work at something for 10 minutes. That's what I'm recommending. It could be planning. It could be washing the dishes. Whatever it is that you are procrastinating on, but that would make things better, right? So the transformation part is making things better. That can be a visual making things better. So the biggest takeaway for the transformation 10 month is how much we can get done in just 10 minutes. Because we often build things up in our head to think that, well, I have to reserve a whole afternoon for that, or I have to save that for the weekend, or that's going to take at least an hour. And yeah, don't have an hour. Do you have 10 minutes? Let's just see. You don't have to finish. You don't have to get to some certain level before you're done. You're done when the timer goes off at 10 minutes. Just see what you can do. And that's how we actually level up our productivity bit by bit, is in these 10-minute chunks, because it helps us take advantage of our time. It helps us get into the mode of just making progress. And then we notice. So the biggest thing about the transformation part is that we're noticing that progress has been made, because a lot of times we'll work at something, and because we didn't achieve perfection, we didn't get as far as we wanted to, we interpret what we did as not making progress, as not really counting, not being good enough. And so the transformation part of the 10 is that we use only 10 minutes and we notice that the area where we focused our attention is improved. It is transformed, not to perfection. It's not like made perfect, but it is changed for the better, visibly, noticeably. And we notice that, we acknowledge that, and acknowledging the progress that we did make, the difference that we did make, will help us continue to take those steps and to just take 2 minutes to do something because it's worth it. We start to see our actions as worth it. And a part of what kind of drives us downward is thinking that our efforts are not worth it. And we get stuck in those kind of interpretive spirals, thinking that it's not worth it. And so the transformation 10 is a practice of seeing that our time is worth it. Okay. We often build things up in our head and we don't want to get started unless we can do it all. But that really is the boom and bust mentality. And a productive mentality isn't waiting until everything's set up and ready to go so that we can complete it. Being productive means using the time we have as best we can. And I think that we actually learn how to do that by just taking 10-minute chunks here and there and seeing how much we can get done in 10 minutes. And, maybe the transformation 10 that you need is a 10-minute power nap. Maybe the transformation 10 is an attitude transformation. So you need a 10-minute walk. Maybe you're all harried and scattered and everything. And so you need just 10 minutes of reading. The real principle here, as Clarissa and Karen are pointing out, is that 10 minutes is significant. You can accomplish a change, a transformation in 10 minutes. You don't have to wait for Saturday. You don't have to postpone it till you have a whole hour, whatever it is that is needing to be transformed. There is something you can do in 10 minutes to see progress or to make change, at least start. And starting is the hardest part. So when we can break it down and just get started, we get that momentum, we feel the traction, and we move forward. So all these ideas will build on each other, and we are just continuing to layer and review and practice. And the point isn't putting a rigid system into place that we can check off and know that we're successful as long as I do these things, right? We keep hunting for those kind of solutions, but they don't exist. It's a pipe dream. And a part of the dream is trying to evade responsibility, really, I think. We want someone else to tell us exactly what to do so that we can do it, and then that will mean success. But that's not the way life works, and that's not what God has called us to. God has called us to steward our resources, to take responsibility for our actions and for our homes. And that means that it's going to be different for everyone. Our homes and our families have different needs. And so responsibility will look different. There's no one checklist that's going to work for everybody. And it means that adapting these different practices and principles and applying them yourself in a way that fits your personality, your style, and your family's style, and your home space and layout, and the circumstances that you find yourself in, is actually a continual project, because all those things change. Even our styles change, right? I can prove that by showing you my wedding china, which is not what I would have picked 20 years later. What we need to do is notice the work that has to be done around us in our home, the work that we are responsible to do, write it down, and start working on it. And that is what the Transformation 10 helps us do. It helps us just cut to the chase. And instead of trying to come up with a project or a system or a plan that will make everything work out just right, um, we just get started. We just do something for 10 minutes and notice, like, oh, actually, I can just clear that table that's been bothering me for so long. And that wasn't a big deal, actually. Maybe I could just do this other thing that I thought was a big deal, but I could try working at that for 5 or 10 minutes, and maybe it's not going to be a big deal either. And we increase the attention that we're giving our home instead of avoiding our home and the different situations. We become less afraid to notice what our homes actually need. Because if all those areas in our home that need our attention are failure points, then we're going to avoid them and we're going to not give them attention because it causes guilt and fear. But if we look them straight on and say, well, how about this one right here? And I'm just going to work at it for 10 minutes, then that's taking responsibility. That's not acting in fear or responding. It's not avoiding. It's just tackling it, but without perfectionism and without making it a big deal. And that's where we start to see real progress in our homes and our attitudes about our work. And it builds. It does build. And maybe you get to the point where you do have a list of routines that really does work for you, but that's built on taking responsibility and actually just being willing to do the work. And instead of thinking, well, doing the work means spending an hour at a time with a detailed checklist, you say, no, it's just 10 minutes of focused attention in this one spot that's been bothering me. And look, that spot's not bothering me anymore. And that moves us forward. Well, I'm going to stop it right there and ask that if you found that helpful, I would love it if you would share this episode with someone who would appreciate it. When we share what we are learning with others, it helps us apply it more and it spreads the motivation and joy to share things. If you want to dig in and apply some of these principles to your own situations, then I have just the ticket for you and for anyone you want to share it with. I have a free guide about how to help bring the kids on board and keep the house tidy in 15 minutes a day. We call our 15-minute tidy time EHAP, which stands for Everything Has a Place. So you can find your free EHAP guide that will help you construct this habit in a way that fits your own family and situation and needs at simplyconvivial.com/EHAP, EHAP. simplyconvivial.com/EHAP, or you can find the link in the description below. And I encourage you, before watching the next video, look around and find one place that you can make a difference in 10 minutes. Maybe while you are watching or listening to the next episode. Use that as your timer to make some visible progress in that area. If you do that, leave a comment and let me know how it went. I love to hear people's successes and insights as they put their own attention and interest into their homes. So, see you next time at Simply Convivial.